ॐ स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। So, as you have seen, we will be continuing our discussion on the hymn Khandana Bhava Bandhana, which Swami Vivekananda himself had written and also set to tune. So, I will just show you the verse which we discussed last time. Close this. So first three verses we have discussed many times, so I won't repeat them. So last time we had discussed this verse, as you remember. Jrimbhita Yuga Ishvara Jagadishvara Yoga Sahaya Nirodhana Samahita Mana Nirakhi Tava Kripaya. So just to recapitulate some very important statements we had discussed last time. Swami Vivekananda himself had written to Shivananda ji about this Yuga Ishvara, that is God of this age. So he had himself written that, my dear brother, that Ramakrishna Paramahansa was God incarnate, I have not the least doubt. And we had also seen this very important statement of Mahapurush Maharaj. So I will just show you. Yeah, very, very important. Call upon the Master and take refuge in him. So you can see for yourself. So that was about Yuga Ishvara, and then we had discussed that he is a helper in yoga. Yoga here means anything which joins us to God. So God comes only for this very purpose, that human beings can attain him more easily. So just 1 second, I'll just close this. Yeah. So Yoga Sahaya means helper in yoga, and we have discussed the unique way in which Sri Ramakrishna used to help all those who came to him, like asking them what they thought of him. So what was the significance of that? The significance is that because Sri Ramakrishna realized in his inmost soul that the spiritual ideal that was manifested through his mind and body had never before been witnessed in the world. This is something extraordinary. We need to think about this. Never before such an ideal was manifested, such a power was manifested. And he naturally concluded that whoever would, in this age and with full understanding, seek to mold his life in the light of the ideal that was embodied in him, would find his spiritual progress easy and smooth. So this ideal, Sri Ramakrishna used to say in Bengali, Ekhankar Bhav. Ekhankar means this place. He would never say I, there was no I in him. So ekhankar bhav means that ideal which was manifested through his mind and body. That is the ideal of this age that is suitable for this age, because every age God manifests the ideal which is suited for that age. Sri Ramakrishna put it simply when he said that the coins which were used in the Mughal period, at that time they were very valuable, but at this time they may not have that value, because each age has a different need. The people change, the circumstances changes, society changes. So God, when He comes down in every age, it is to manifest the spiritual ideal which is most suited for that age. That is why Sri Ramakrishna says that those who mold their life according to his teachings, which are specially suited for this age, will find their spiritual progress easier. That is the thing. So now let us come to the next verse. I'll just show you the next verse. Today, what we will discuss today. This is the verse you can see. Let me share here. Online people cannot see. So now you can see this verse. Bhanjana dukha ganjana karunagana karma kathor. Bhanjana means breaking. So here it means removing, because it is connected with dukkha. Dukkha means sorrow. So even the most terrible of suffering, he removes. And next is karuna ghana. Ghana means actually condensed. And karuna is grace, compassion. So he was the very embodiment of compassion condensed, as it were. Karma kathor. Karma is deeds. Whatever actions we perform, that is all that is karma. Kathor here does not mean hard, it means not hard to touch or anything. Here it means terrific deeds, arduous deeds, superhuman deeds. So he was a performer of such deeds which ordinary men can never even think of. Then pran arpana means, that is two words, prana, that is life, and arpana. Arpana means giving. So he gave up his life. For what? That is mentioned next. Jagata tarana. Jagata means the world, all the living beings in the world. Tarana means deliverance here. So to deliver means to make them cross over this ocean of life and death. For everybody's spiritual progress, he gave up his life. Krintana Kalidor is also more or less the same meaning. Kali means the age of Kali here. So Kali, it's age of Kali is said to be the age of materialism, where people are very much attached to the world and sense pleasures. That is denoted by the term, this Kali Yuga. So Krintana means he cut asunder that bond. So here not a particular time is not meant here. Here it is meant the attitude. The attitude of the people in today's times is that they are very much attached to the world and its pleasures. So that is a great bondage. So he cut asunder that bond. That is the thing. So this is the meaning, general meaning of this verse. So now we can just go into a detail, word by word, little discussion. So Bhanjana Dukha Ganjana. Now see, he removes even the most terrible suffering. That is the meaning. And we have already discussed in earlier classes that suffering can be of various kinds. Generally, three kinds are mentioned: Adi Bhautika, Adi Daivika, and Adhyatmika. So I won't go into detail here now. So, suffice to say that all kinds of suffering, he was born to remove. That is the thing. Here it is not mentioned any particular kind of suffering. See, Adhyatmika suffering is our suffering on the spiritual level, mental level. So, if a person gains that spiritual knowledge, then all his sufferings are removed forever, because he is completely free from the slavery of the mind and body. So that is the culmination. But everybody cannot reach that suddenly. So what about those who are still far away from that ideal? It is not that the incarnation has nothing to give them. Otherwise, he will come only for a chosen few who are bound to attain illumination in a very short time. But it is not that God comes only for those. Most of the people are ordinary people like us who have a long way to go. We also have suffering. So, Avatara removes suffering at every level. Even at the physical level, at the mental level, and of course, Adhyatmika suffering he removes for those who are fit for that. Then, of course, all their troubles are gone forever. But in Sri Ramakrishna's life, we see that he understood each kind of suffering. He suffered with the people who came to him for solace. That is the thing. He did not brush away anything saying that it is beneath his notice. Like suppose an ordinary person like us goes to a very high spiritual soul with a trivial problems. So generally what can be expected is he will simply brush us away. Oh, you are coming to me for all that. But Sri Ramakrishna did not do that. At every level, he tried to remove the suffering of the people. And if you, generally what we consider that Sri Ramakrishna teachings were the aphorisms, and Swami Vivekananda's teachings were a commentary on them. So in the letters of Swami Vivekananda, again and again you see that he advises his brother disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, his own brother disciples, the other disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, to spread knowledge, to go to villages, teach them how to grow crops, teach them how to learn modern means of growing crops, of machinery, and getting this knowledge from the West. So all these are on the physical level, because for those who are in those kinds of needs, that is the greatest help he can give. And Sri Ramakrishna also says there cannot be any religion on empty stomach. First you have to satisfy the basic physical needs, otherwise how can a person be turned to God? So through Swami Vivekananda also Sri Ramakrishna did this work. But here we will just examine a few incidents in the Master's life. For example, once we see in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna that one Mani Mohan came to him, a devotee called Mani Mohan. So a great tragedy had befallen him. He had lost his young son. So we can imagine that nothing can give a parent a greater pain than losing one's son or daughter when they are still young. So what happened then? When he came to Sri Ramakrishna who realized that the whole world is a kind of illusion, a kind of a dream, he did not brush away that man. Swami Sardhananda says that Sri Ramakrishna could have easily discarded that old man's lamentation with a short statement that it is all Maya. But he did not do that. Not that he did not have the ability to do that, because he had actually realized. But Swami Sardhananda says a very pertinent thing, that if Sri Ramakrishna had brushed away, saying that it is all Maya, if he had shown his greatness in that manner, we would have thought that although he might be a great spiritual person or something else, he could not be a teacher of humankind. He could not be a world teacher, because then he would have come only for a few select persons who are very highly spiritual. But what about ordinary people? What about their suffering? So we would then have believed that he was not able to understand the feelings of ordinary people. And we would have asked ourselves, if he once fell into the helpless condition we are in, weak with our attachment to our family members and children, would he still remain indifferent to the play of Maya? Could he then remain indifferent? He wouldn't have. So Sri Ramakrishna consoled him, that person, in a wonderful way. Of course, I won't go into all the detail because it will take a lot of time, but those who have either Sri Ramakrishna Leela Prasanga in English, that is Divine Play or the Great Master or the Gospel, they can search for this incident. Mani Mohan, that person's name was. So in this way, Sri Ramakrishna consoled that person. And of course, spiritual help, we all know innumerable ways, that is Adhyatmika suffering. So naturally, we have already discussed that, we won't go into details now. But I will mention here, regarding this removal of suffering at every level, I will mention just one small incident, that how deeply spiritual persons feel the sorrow of others. Very trivial incident, but very important. So once what happened, a devotee came to the master at Dakshineshwar, and Latu Maharaj was also there at that time. So devotees are of all kinds. Sometimes they also create problems. Like in Holy Mother's life, we see that Holy Mother was once sitting and one person came and started banging his head on her feet. So these types of people also come. So that devotee was behaving in a rather odd manner. So Latu Maharaj, his reminiscences are there. He says that devotee was behaving so badly, I found it impossible to check my irritation, and I scolded him. At that scolding, naturally, the devotee felt hurt. So he went away from Dakshineshwar. Now the master knew that the devotee had suffered due to the harsh behavior of Latu Maharaj. So what did he do? He did not ignore that, even that little suffering. Although the devotee was responsible for that, what did Sri Ramakrishna say to Latu Maharaj? He said, it is not good to speak harshly to those who come here. They are tormented with worldly problems. If they come here and then are scolded for their shortcomings, where will they go? Then he said, never use harsh words to anyone and never say anything to cause pain to another. But he did not stop there. Latu Maharaj was not let off so easily. After this he said to Latu Maharaj, go visit this man tomorrow and speak to him so nicely, so softly that he will forget your behavior today. So Latu Maharaj, he went and naturally he made up for his behavior and everything was okay. Then he returned to the master, but still he was not let off. Then Sri Ramakrishna asked him, did you offer salutations on my behalf to the devotee? Mane, see the thing. Latu Maharaj has behaved in this way in front of the master. So the master feels that it is his responsibility to apologize to that devotee. So that is why he said, did you offer salutations on my behalf? Naturally, Latu Maharaj had not done so. So again he was sent. He offered salutations on the master's behalf to that devotee. Just imagine. And at this, that devotee burst into tears, seeing the master's compassion. So this was the extent to which Sri Ramakrishna felt the sufferings of others. That is why Swami Vivekananda has said at one place, nowhere in the world exists that sympathy for man in bondage. So even such a small thing, let alone big types of calamities or something. So this was the thing. And so next, what this verse is, once again. Bhanjana, Dukha Ganjana and Karunaghana. Karunaghana means he was the embodiment of Karuna, that is compassion. So we have already discussed this to some extent, that love and sympathy of the master. But one or two things also we can discuss more here. A unique feature of the master was that Swami Sardanandaji says that everybody who went to the master felt that the master loved him the most. That was the unique feature. So I will quote Swami Sardananda. Everyone who went to Sri Ramakrishna felt that the master loved him or her above all others. It seems to us that the cause of that feeling was his intense understanding of the weal and woe of each person. He could, like in English they say, put himself in others' shoes. He identified with each person so strongly that that person thought that the master loved him the most. He was like him the most. So then Sardanandaji says, although sympathy and love are two different things, the external signs of the latter are not much different from those of the former. So it is no wonder that people considered his sympathy to be love. It was the very nature of his mind to be absorbed in whatever he chose to think about. Because of this characteristic, he could accurately ascertain the mental condition of each disciple, and he could correctly prescribe what was necessary to improve that person's mind. So that was the height of Karuna or compassion, when he could practically identify himself with the persons who came to him, those who were suffering. And the biggest example we can give of this compassion is that all the time he kept his mind on a lower level, giving up that infinite bliss of God which he could attain at any time just by desiring. He gave up that also. He would pray to Mother, Mother, don't give me samadhi. Just imagine that for which people strive for hundreds of births. This person says, no, don't give me that, because if you give me, how can I talk to others? So one very amusing incident, people, naturally, ordinary people could not understand this. His love and all they thought to be attachment, and especially people like Hazara who were there. So they were always questioning the master about everything. So Hazara was a great friend of Swami Vivekananda, it is said. So all those incidents are there in gospel. So one day Hazara said to the master, why do you constantly think about Narendra and other youngsters? They are quite happy by themselves. You better fix your mind on God. Hazara is advising Sri Ramakrishna. You better fix your mind on God. Why are you attached to Narendra and all these people? So what did Sri Ramakrishna do? At these words, the master took his mind away from everything and merged it instantly in samadhi. His beard and hair stood straight on end like the kadamba flower. This is actually Holy Mother has said. I am quoting Holy Mother. Just imagine what kind of a man the master was. His body became hard like a wooden statue. So Ramlal, who was attending on him, said repeatedly, please be your former self again. At last his mind came down to the normal plane. So it was only out of compassion that he kept his mind on the material plane. So what can be a more compassionate gesture? That is why it is said that he was Karuna Ghana. He was the very embodiment of compassion. So Bhanjana, Dukha Ganjana, Karuna Ghana, and then comes Karma Kathur. Karma Kathur means he was the doer of arduous deeds. He was a superhuman deeds, courageous deeds. But we have to remember one thing, that this courage which spiritual persons display is not like the ordinary deeds of courage that we are used to seeing. We can only understand these ordinary deeds, but what even let alone someone like Sri Ramakrishna or Swami Vivekananda, even a spiritual aspirant, if he treads seriously on the spiritual path, the amount of courage which is necessary is, for ordinary people, it is unbelievable, unthinkable. Even if a few days if we have to spend like that, we will go mad. But it is not displayed outside. It will not come in the newspaper, it will not come in the television. It is all going on inside. It is all an internal process which nobody can see and nobody can understand. So that type of courage is completely different from what ordinary people understand. So here, describing that, Swami Vivekananda says in one of his speeches which he gave in America, he tried to make the Westerners understand what type of courage is that. So I quote him. He said, quote, just as you means the Western audience which was in front of him, just as you are brave in the name of patriotism to stand and give up your lives for your country, so these people, spiritual people, are brave in the name of God. What type of bravery is that? He explains. There it is, there means in India. There it is that when a man declares that this is a world of ideas, that it is all a dream, he casts off clothes and property and wealth, etc., to demonstrate that what he believes and thinks is true. There it is that a man sits on the bank of a river when he has known that life is eternal and wants to give up his body just as it were nothing. Just as you can give up a bit of straw. Therein lies their heroism. And they are ready to face death as a brother because they are convinced that there is no death for them. That is the bravery which even those who are striving for God display. But it is very much unlike as the brave deeds we see in the world. We laud a man, suppose, he has gone from rags to riches or something, or he has attained great name and fame, or he has gained success in any worldly endeavor. Those are all good. Any kind of achievement is good because that is just manifesting our divinity. Everything is good, but that is on a different level, and this is on a completely different level. This kind of courage is a completely different level. That is why Swami Sardhananda says, I quote, "Are we capable of feeling even a little bit of that courage that allowed Sri Ramakrishna to renounce earthly and heavenly enjoyment and risk even his mind and body for a thing beyond the senses, unfamiliar and unknown to the world?" So only a spiritual person who is really striving can understand this type of courage to a certain extent. Giving up everything the world has to offer for something beyond the senses, which he has not even seen, just due to that faith, is not a joke. So this is the type of courage we see in spiritual persons. But of course, very few are able to understand that. So this is one aspect of this karma kathor, doer of arduous deeds, doer of courageous deeds. And then we come to the austerities which Sri Ramakrishna had performed. Absolutely unimaginable, even for great souls. Like once what happened in Baranagar Mutt after Sri Ramakrishna's passing away, all the monastic disciples had seen Sri Ramakrishna's life, burning with renunciation, and such tremendous austerities they had heard. They had not seen him performing because they had come late, but they must have heard about it. So now at Baranagar Mutt, all his disciples, heart and soul, they dived into austerities. If all those who have read a little will know. So naturally, Swami Vivekananda was the leader. He must have grown, some concern, because if these people spoil their health and all, their health will break down. So once he went and scolded them, that do you think you will all become Ramakrishna Paramahamsas? You cannot. It is not possible. So why did they say? Of course, that was motherly concern of Swamiji. That was one aspect. But another aspect was that what an avatara can do, what an incarnation can do, no human being can ever even hope to emulate. So just a few examples which Sri Ramakrishna himself, we have that one great advantage we have, that we have Sri Ramakrishna's own words of his spiritual fervor and his spiritual experiences. So Swami Sardhananda quotes the master himself. So it is a lengthy quotation, but I will quote the whole thing. So he says, I quote, the master said, "An ordinary man could not have borne a quarter of that tremendous spiritual fervor. It would have burnt him up. I could forget my indescribable pangs only by seeing the Divine Mother in some form or other for the greater part of the day and night. Otherwise, this body could not have survived. I had no sleep at all for 6 long years." Just imagine. We cannot imagine. We cannot even believe. But it is the Master's own words. I had no sleep at all for 6 long years. my eyes lost the ability to blink. His eyes would not blink. Despite repeated efforts, I could not close my eyelids. I had no idea of time. I almost forgot that I needed to maintain my body. When at rare intervals my attention would fall on the body a little, I was frightened by its condition. Standing in front of the mirror, I tried to close my eyelids with my fingers, and I couldn't. I became frightened and tearfully said to the mother, "Mother, is this the result of praying and wholly surrendering myself to you?" But the next moment I would say, "Let it be as you wish. Let this body go to pieces. But don't leave me. Reveal yourself to me. Bestow your mercy on me. I have taken refuge at your lotus feet alone. I have no one else but you." So just one portion I have quoted. Many instances are there. Sri Ramakrishna talks about that his great yearning and great tremendous austerities. So that is what is meaning of the term karma kathor, performer of such deeds, such superhuman deeds that is even unimaginable for highly spiritual persons like his own disciples. That is why Sri Ramakrishna says, if you can do 1/16th of what I have done, that will be enough. But our problem is that he had done so much that even 160th will be a little too much for us. So that is the problem. Anyway, so next, Pranarpana Jagata Tarana it comes. So just 1 minute. Yeah. So Bhanjana, Dukha Ganjana, removal of suffering, all kinds of suffering. Karuna Gana, embodiment of compassion. Karma Kathor, we have just discussed now. Now comes Prana Arpana, that is, he gave up his very life for what? Jagata Tarana, for the deliverance of humankind. Till the last breath, he kept on helping all those who came to him. We all know that he had that tremendous pain in his later days due to his throat cancer. So it is not that because of that he stopped people coming to him. Some disciples would stand at the gate at Kashipur Garden House to not let allow people come. But Sri Ramakrishna wouldn't hear of that. So I quote from Swami Vivekananda from his talk on the great master, that is, my master, his talk. So he says, in those days when Sri Ramakrishna was suffering so terribly, men came in crowds to hear him. Before also, when he was healthy, because of that overstrain, he got that problem in the throat. So men came in crowds to hear him, and he would talk 20 hours in the 24. And that not for one day, but for months and months, until at last the body broke down under the pressure of this tremendous strain. Already his body, because of so many austerities and all, it was in not such a healthy condition. After that, such strain. His intense love for mankind would not let him refuse to help even the humblest of the thousands who sought his aid. Then what was the result? Gradually, they developed a vital throat disorder, and yet he could not be persuaded to refrain from those exertions. As soon as he heard that people were asking to see him, he would insist upon having them admitted and would answer all their questions. When expostulated with, he replied, "I don't care. I will give up 20,000 such bodies to help one man. It is glorious to help even one man. So this is how he gave up his life, prana, offered his life, that is arpana, at the feet of all humankind, whom he saw as God in various shapes. And the suffering he endured, I will just quote Swami Sardananda again. He had moderate pain all the time, but his pain increased during the days of the full moon and new moon, etc. At those times, it was almost impossible for him to swallow any solid food. So on those days, he had only milk and rice or farina pudding. And the doctors who examined him diagnosed his condition as clergyman's sore throat, meaning that the cause of his pain was excessive use of his vocal cords, caused by giving spiritual advice to people day and night. So now the doctors warned the master that he could not do two things. Why? Which ones? First is he could not go into samadhi because tremendous blood, there is a tremendous rush of blood when that happens. And when it hits the throat, it becomes very painful. And secondly, he could not talk to people. But the master could not obey the doctor in both the things. He was unable to control his samadhi because of his intense love for God, and he could not curtail his speaking because of his limitless compassion for others. So, if that is not giving up one's life for others, what is? And one thing we should be clear about. We often think that, oh, the master was going into samadhi and all that, what suffering for him? Such a spiritual person who can go beyond, he did not suffer actually, he was just maybe some acting or something. But we should not forget that even for those who have attained that high state, when they come down and identify themselves with the body again to some extent, they feel just as we feel. He is not in samadhi all the time. Once, this is not my own thing, it is one incident demonstrates this. That what happened once was, Sri Ramakrishna's throat used to be cleaned after he had that disease. So Buddha Gopalda, Swami Advaitananda would clean that wound. So every day he would clean, the master would just, without saying anything, it was very painful process. Yeah, that wound is cleaning, no. The master would not feel anything, he would clean every day. But once, when Swami Advaitananda started cleaning, the master said in pain, ah! So Swami Advaitananda said that what happened? Every day I do, only today you are feeling so much pain. So the master said that today you did not warn me. I could not lift my body, I lift my mind from my body. You first warn me so that I can go to that state. So when Sri Ramakrishna was on the ordinary plane, he suffered like we suffer. Maybe not to that degree, but they suffer. So Swami Vivekananda, all this, he had so many problems at the later age. He had that asthma, so he would suffer terribly. Once he wrote in a letter that he was breathing hard because of asthma, and that situation also he wrote an article for Udbodhan at the request of Swami Trigunatitananda. So we should not think that these spiritual people are always they are always chanting Om and always in Samadhi and they don't feel any suffering. Because if they don't suffer, if someone has not suffered, How can you feel the suffering of others? It is impossible. Suppose I do not know what hunger is. Then if someone comes to me and says I am hungry, I will not know what he is saying. I have not experienced that. So it is not that they have not suffered, they suffer much more than us. Because we only suffer for ourselves. But they suffer through all humankind. They are not limited to their own body and mind. So this is pran arpana, that is giving up his life. And about this, another incident is there when Sri Ramakrishna himself saw that he was undergoing such strain that his body will not last if this goes on. So he complains to the Divine Mother. I quote Sri Ramakrishna. He said in an ecstatic mood to the Divine Mother, "Why do you bring so many people here? You have created a heavy crowd. I have no time even to bathe and eat. This means," then he pointed to his body, "this is a perforated drum. It has already so many holes because of these austerities and all. His stomach was in a very poor condition, we know. How long will it last if you go on beating it day in and day out?" He himself knew that material, body is material, no? So it is subject to laws. So this was the suffering he endured. And Holy Mother once mentions, I quote her, that when the master had cancer, it was such unbearable suffering for him to eat even the farina pudding in later stages. Every now and then he would throw it out through his nose. Just imagine a person is hungry, he cannot eat anything. So then Holy Mother says, the master used to say, I have been suffering for all of you. The master suffered as he had taken on himself the sins of Girish. That Holy Mother says. So not only Girish, maybe so many people like us who had gone to him. That's why in Holy Mother's life we see that when some persons touched her feet, she used to feel a burning sensation. We cannot know what it is, but something must have entered from their body, no? Otherwise, why would she have felt like that? So this was how, that is, and Krintana Kalidor, of course, the same thing, because of his compassion, because through his spiritual instructions, through his own experiences, he cut asunder that bond of Kali. So Kali here does not mean any particular age as such. Kali here means it is represented by our worldly attachments. So that he cut off because he was compassion embodied, and for this he gave up his whole life. So it is interesting to note that this Kali Krintana, that is cutting the bonds of Kali, Swami Vivekananda has used here once. He has also used the same thing in his hymn to Shiva. There is a Sanskrit hymn. So he says the same thing, that it is God, Shiva, who Krintana Kalidor, who wipes the dark stain of this Kali Yuga or the Iron Age. So I will just, one verse I will just quote so that you can relate. So that verse in Sanskrit is Durita dalana daksham daksha jadatta dosham kalita kalikalam kam kamra kalhara kantam parahita karanaya prana pracheda pritam natanayana niyuktam nilakantham namama. नतनयन नियुक्तं नीलकण्ठं नमामि. So here this word Kalita Kali Kalankam. Kali means Kali Yuga. Kalanka means how do you translate the stain? So this is the same thing he mentions here. So this is Kalita Kali Kalankam means the same thing as this Krintana Kali door. And here he says Pranarpana. In this he says the same thing here. Parahita Karanaya. Parahita means, para means others. Hita means good. So for doing good to others, Prana Vichhed, he gave up his life. Shiva. How? Because when the poison came from that churning of the ocean, so that poison was burning the whole world. It is described in the Puranas. It was so strong that people were fainting and dying and all that. So no god was powerful enough to take that poison, it is said. So yeah, they went to Shiva. Yeah. So Shiva took that poison, but through his power, that poison did not go beneath his throat. It remained here. And that is why that throat turned blue or Neela. So that is why he is called one with the blue throat, that is Neelakantha. So that is why this verse, only the third line I am not sure, because what is written here, what I have got here, we have read that Prana Pracheda Pritam or something. Here it is different. So anyway, we can check what is the correct thing. So the translation is, he is the removal of all evil. This Durita Dalana Daksham Daksha Jadatta Dosham. All the doshas, all the dosh, he removes. And Kalita Kali Kalankam, he removes the stain of this dark age. So we bow down to him, Namama, who is Neelakantha, who is the great Lord Shiva. So Swamiji mentions the same ideas in these two verses. So I think we should conclude the discussion of this verse. Bhanjana Dukha Ganjana. This is the 5th verse only, so we still have some verses to go. So let me see if we can finish in our next time 2 verses at one time. Let's see. So let's end here. Then I'll just show you a small video. Jagadhatri Puja was celebrated recently. So in our centers in Calcutta, it is celebrated in Sarada Peeth. But of course, this time many devotees did not come, but still some photos are there. And there is one small place in Bengal called Chandan Nagar. There they celebrate on a big scale. So some lighting, beautiful lighting they have, especially for those who have not visited India, they can have a glimpse of that. So we can just see that for those who are interested. So let's end here today. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat. Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu.